Hello and welcome. My name is Sarah Becker Vine and I'm delighted to share with you Jonathan Shaw today in this short video that we're putting together to help you understand why you could be in pain with the help of Jonathan's brand new book, Decoding Pain, The Emotional Blueprint to Healing Chronic Pain Forever. I'm really excited about this because Jonathan is a good friend and colleague of mine and has certainly helped me a lot in understanding what's going on with me and my body with different things that have happened. So I'm really excited to share you with everyone. So anyone who doesn't know about you and what you do, would you be okay just to share a little bit about yourself so people know who you are and why they should listen to you and read your book?
Okay. Basically, I've been helping people out of pain for 15, 16 years now. And I got into it because I suffered my own pain, firstly with my left knee, and then secondly with my right shoulder and my back. And I trained traditionally in lots of different body work and understanding posture and understanding the muscles and the way they move and they function. But when I got my shoulder pain, what I'd learnt traditionally didn't help. So I had to seek out other information. And what I learnt changed my life. It changed the way I view health. It changed the way I view pain and disease. It's helped me understand my health, and any health issues I get, I understand why they're there and I can solve them pretty quickly. It's helped me help my friends and my family, and it's helped me solve my clients' pain and problems in much quicker, much easier. And it's taken away a lot of the fear that I had about disease and pain, which we all have. We all get very frightened. We think our body's doing something bad, and it took all that away from me. And so I've written the book to share that with people, because I think at the very least, fear is one of the biggest problems when we get ill.
And it's helping people understand what's called it. So what did you? So you tried all the traditional body work, and what were some of the other things that you tried that you had maybe some success with? But what was the main thing that sort of really changed it? What was it that you learned?
Well, I tried after doing all the body work, going to the doctor and going to my therapist who taught me how to do body work and things, and he kind of taught me stress was a problem, and I started looking into that. And so I took up meditation, and I took up tapping, emotional freedom technique. And meditation and tapping, although I'm a very skeptical person by nature, and I really am, they really, really helped. I knew that it was a stress that was causing the problem, some kind of stress. That's what I thought at the time anyway. I later found out that I wasn't quite accurate. And these two things, meditation and tapping, helped me control it naturally without having to take medication. I'm not a big fan of medication, never have been. So I want to control it naturally. And they were good. They were helping me control it, but they weren't solving it. So I then went off in search of how I was going to solve the problem. And I came across some information that I've written about in the book that explained why we actually have pain, the exact roadmap to pain. And people think pain is random and it just happens for no reason.
Maybe it's old age and because I've had an injury and that kind of thing, but that's not actually the case.
That's not the case, no. And then you look at stress and they think that stress is random and it could be anything. And in actual fact, it's not anything. It's something very, very specific. And when you know what that specific thing is, and you know that it's not random, there's actually a process to it, very much like software running on a computer. Once you understand where you are in that process, you know what you need to do to come out of it and be pain-free.
Awesome. So I love the fact that you've written this and you're able to share this information. So what are people going to get from reading the book? What's going to help them? Because obviously you can't solve people's pain from reading a book, but you can help them understand more. So what is in the book? Why should they read it?
Okay, so no, I can't reach through the page of the book and heal your pain. I wish I could. If I could, I would.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I will say that I don't heal people's pain. I get their bodies to heal themselves. The only person's pain I've ever healed is mine. But I give people the right guidance for their body to heal itself. After all, that's what any therapist is trying to do, even doctors. They're just trying to get the body to heal itself. Now, the book has the information in it that you need to know before you can become pain-free. I have a formula for getting people out of pain, and it has 4 steps. And the first step is understanding why the pain is actually there. Because if you're walking around and you're blaming the box you lifted, or you're blaming the accident that you had, or you're blaming the pillow you slept on that night, or you're blaming your genes, or you're just blaming the universe or God that you have your pain, you're not going to get out of pain. You need to understand the real cause of your pain.
Yeah.
And that,
sorry, I think a lot of people, is that they just don't understand it. It's not so much that they want to blame someone, it's that they don't know what's going on within our bodies. But our bodies are our subconscious in a way to tell us there's something out of balance, there's something that we need to work on.
yeah, we only blame because we get taught that's what we should do. You know, we get taught by we go to people who we think know what they're talking about, and they tell us what's causing it. But what they tell us keeps us stuck in pain. You know, if they say, well, it's the way you slept, or it's the exercise you did, or it's your genes, or that,
age.
or it's age. Yeah, age is the biggest one. It's your age. Then you're stuck. I've had people come to me who've been told it's their age, and I've still got them out of pain.
Yeah.
And nothing to do with it whatsoever. And age is funny because if you're young, you're told it's growing pains. If you're old, you're told it's your old age. And if you're anywhere in the middle, that just flies there, so it's completely, they don't have a clue what's going on. So they just medicate it. And if you're happy to medicate things and live with pain, then by all means. But I personally wasn't, and I wanted to be free of it. I'm a very logical person. I recognised that I didn't come into this world in pain.
Yes.
I wasn't born with pain, so why should I have it now?
Yeah.
And that's the thought that kept me going. I'm a very stubborn person. And it in my favour this time. You know, I didn't believe I had to be in pain. I just realised I hadn't found what was causing the pain.
Yeah, and that's what I love, because for me personally, I love working on myself and understanding things and clearing things. And this only working with you personally, and I know you've worked with my family and my friends, and the results have been outstanding. How something can trigger a pain in someone. So this book really helps people understand what caused it. But can you explain what actually triggers pain?
Okay, so the book is going to explain exactly the root cause of pain and the process. But the root cause and the process are the most important things. The root cause, a lot of people these days who are non-traditional will say it's stress. But stress is too general. General stress will not cause problems within you. It might make you a bit tense. But, you know, getting stuck in traffic, getting your kids ready for school, having an argument with your partner, they're not going to cause problems. What does cause a problem is something very, very specific. Something unexpected, dramatic, isolating, with no coping strategy. I'll say that again. It's something unexpected, dramatic, isolating, with no coping strategy. We call this a Youdin moment. When you have a Youdin moment, or a shock, that then starts a process in your body. And that process can lead to pain or disease based on the type of shock you have.
So a Youdin moment, I know I've had these, but can you help explain for people who've probably never heard of that term before, what an example of that, and how that then leads to pain?
Okay, so there are different Youdin moments create different types of reactions in the body. What you're looking for is, you're not looking for emotional or psychological, you're looking for biological. The Youdin moment creates a biological reaction within the cells of the body.
And a Youdin moment, sorry, just to clarify, is some kind of shock?
It's a shock. It's something where you go, not on the outside, obviously, but on the inside, you know, someone says something or we see something and we go, and inside we feel shocked, we feel frozen.
Yeah.
And those moments can have different information about them. So the type of moments or Youdin shocks that create pain generally are self-worth shocks, where
That's interesting.
where we have felt that our value our self-worth has come under attack. People have put us down, people have criticised us, people have judged us. And then that affects our muscles, bones, our tendons and our ligaments. Now, every body part means something different. The shoulder means something different from the neck and the knee, and I cover that more in the book. But right now, general muscles, bones, tendons, ligaments are self-worth complex, when we feel not good enough. So an example of that, when I first learned this, I'm a very sceptical person, and I don't believe something face value, so I've tested it. And I've tested this thousands and thousands of times with sceptical people as well, and I've always found a unique moment. But this one particular guy, and I remember this really well because he was a skeptic as well, and he was the boyfriend of the woman who was doing the course with me, and he'd come along for the day, and he was suffering with what he'd been diagnosed with as RSI. Now he'd been diagnosed with it by a doctor, and they said you have RSI. And he was a journalist, so he did a lot of typing on the computer.
So you would just take that, okay, it's because I'm doing this a lot, that's why I've got it. Most people would just accept that.
He did. He was accepting it, and he didn't know what to do about it. It was affecting his work. He wasn't able to do his work as well. He wasn't able to type for as long, and he just thought, well, I'm kind of stuck with it.
Mm-hmm.
And we sat him down and said, well, no, actually, there's a uni moment involved, and he did not believe us at all. He did not believe it 1 second. It was actually quite amusing, and we were just testing at the time. So we sat him down and we said, what happened was unexpected, dramatic, isolating with no coping strategy, where you want to knock someone away or punch them to do with your self-worth. And we said it's probably about work, because that side of his body at that time was about his work. And he said, basically he had a shock at work. He delivered a presentation to his boss in front of all of his colleagues. And the boss completely slated the presentation in front of his colleagues.
Mm.
So he felt shit about himself. He felt bad, really bad, and he wanted to punch his boss. As you would naturally do that. It did not make him feel good about himself.
Yeah.
You know, he was really good at his job for some reason, whatever. So he'd had a shock. In that moment, he went, froze.
Mm.
Then
it's humiliation as well, isn't it? In front of everybody?
Yeah, he felt humiliation again, self-worth.
Mm.
So he was humiliated. He was being judged. He felt his peers, his colleagues, were judging him.
He wasn't good enough.
He wasn't good enough, and he was criticised. All self-worth issues. He got angry, and so you can see that the anger and all the his information inside it, but the union moment was feeling he wanted to punch someone or knock someone away to do his work. That's the biological conflict. So once we found that, once he did that, he went into stress. Once he had that moment, his body went into stress. There's no pain in stress.
Which you actually explain really well in the book, which we'll come on to in a moment, about the two stages that you actually go through.
There are two main stages, the stress phase or the repair phase, and I just simplify and call it blue box and red box. I like keeping things simple. This doesn't have to be complicated. So he moves into the blue box. Now, these two phases are actually medical understandings. They're your nervous system. They're not this made-up kind of thing. Yeah. They're actually part of your nervous system. Your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, but just call blue box and red box. It's
or stress and repair.
Or stress and repair. So when he had that union moment, he moved into stress. Now there's no pain. At that moment, the cells in his wrist, whether it's bone or muscle, would have got weaker.
So when people are in stress, they go into stress, their cells are actually weakened. With
muscles, bones, tendons, ligaments, yes.
Okay.
Not necessarily other organs because they react differently, but with the muscles and yes, they get weaker first. Because the only way to make a muscle strong is to actually weaken it first.
Right, okay, yeah.
And bodybuilders know that.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I suppose when you're working out and stuff like that, and then it's when they stop working out and then they're resting, that's when their body will ache because they've gone into repair.
They've gone into repair, that's right. So when you're working out, you're training, you're in stress, cells weaken. Later on, 2 to 6 hours afterwards, or the next day, your body will start to ache and be sore. And that is actually your muscles growing stronger. That's the repair phase.
Which you would never actually think of it like that. That when you're aching, that you're actually your body's getting stronger.
No, that's the problem. People don't. They think it's a bad thing,
right?
And they complain about it. But actually, if you know, and bodybuilders do, a bodybuilder will actually rejoice and go, yes, because they know that the next day they go back, or 2 days, they are going to be stronger and lift more weight. They recognise it as repair.
So how did this guy with the RSI? So he had the shock. He wanted, he was humiliated, and so he just went into some kind of stress. That's what you're saying. So there was no pain. How did he then get the pain?
Well, he went to stress about it, and typical symptoms in stress are obsessive thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, why did my boss say that? Why is he blaming himself? Lack of sleep, because you can't get it out of your head. And those are just basic stress phase symptoms. And then what he did, he had to redo the presentation. So while he was redoing it, he was in stress. He redid the presentation, he gave it back to his boss, and his boss praised him. His boss congratulated him. So the complete opposite of the shock.
Yeah.
And the complete opposite reverses the shock.
Right.
Okay, so if someone comes to you and says, I hate you, the reverse will be, I love you. So in this case, his boss said, I hate the presentation, and then he reversed it by saying, that was brilliant, you did a great job.
Yeah.
Well
so he
done.
felt good about himself.
Felt good about himself, didn't want to punch his boss anymore, and then that's when the cells moved into repair and started to grow stronger so that he was able to deal with that situation better in the future.
And then he's stuck with the pain.
He was stuck in pain because he hadn't let go of how he felt and the shock moment where he did feel anger, where he did feel humiliated, and then every time he goes to work, sits at his computer and sees his colleagues, the shock gets triggered, and it's actually what the computer represents is what's triggering the pain, not the actual action of typing.
I mean, that is just fascinating. I mean, I know you've shared this with me and helped me with things personally, and to understand how the stress and the repair, and I know if I ache, I know I'm going into repair. I have no fear about it. So what about someone who's in constant pain? Right, I know you touch in the book with fibromyalgia and ME and arthritis. For someone that have to live their day-to-day life in pain, what's going on for them?
Someone who's in constant pain is someone who's never resolved the Yudin moment. With this guy, that could have developed and got worse. But as it happened, once we made him aware of it, even though he didn't believe it, once you make someone aware of their specific Yudin moment, their whole body resonates and go, oh my God, that's it. And in his case, because it was a minor thing, he actually left the course, and 3 hours later he texted his girlfriend saying the pain has gone.
Wow. So he didn't actually need any intervention. He just needed to have that recognition.
He needed the awareness in his case.
Wow.
Within about 20% of people, just giving them awareness of what it is, they'll just go, is that what it was? Oh, okay, I'll let that go. And bam, it's gone.
Yeah. Wow.
But if you've got someone with a chronic condition like rheumatoid arthritis or fibromyalgia, you haven't got one Yudin moment running, you've got multiple Yudin moments running.
It's a bit like with the autoimmune diseases as well, isn't it? Well, because you know you work the whole spectrum of injuries and all kinds of things. So they've got multiple ones. So how would they, from reading the book, find out what's going on for them?
In the book, I do cover a few autoimmune diseases, and I go into them very basic because you could write a whole book on one specific autoimmune. This is the first book
of many I feel with this, and it's just sort of the groundwork to really, I suppose, in a way, help people have this bigger awareness and understand that it can be cleared. It can be, once you understand that it is these shocks and you do a bit of work, which some people, I suppose, just reading the book, having something specific, think, yes, they could let it go. It's going to work for some people, but for people that have got lots going.
No, if you've got a really chronic problem, just being aware isn't going to help you let go of it all of a sudden. However, what I would like to happen, what I hope will happen, is that you'll recognise that the pain you're suffering is not bad. It's not doing anything bad to you. Don't get me wrong, I'm suffering chronic pain, I know it hurts, and it's not good suffering in pain for long periods of time. But a lot of people believe that when they're in pain, something bad must be happening to them. Their body's doing something wrong, because that's what we get told. It is not true. So your body is not doing anything wrong. It's trying to heal you, but you can't heal because you are still feeling and thinking the way you did when you went to the Yudin.
You went into shock. Oh, I mean, that's just like, because obviously our body loves us, I suppose, and it wants to heal us and it wants us to help us. So people that are in suffering and pain and thinking, oh, my body, it's actually your body's way of trying to strengthen you and to heal you. But because you've got the shock, it gets stuck, isn't it? I think that's what you explain in the book, that you actually get stuck between, whereas a normal someone will go into stress, then they'll go into repair like a bodybuilder, and there's no lingering causes or any pains. With someone who's had a shock, and then they go into pain, it gets resolved, but it's because it's not been resolved, the shock. That is why people stay in pain. Is that what you meant? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, basically the shock gets reversed. So like the guy, he was criticised and then he was valued, and the reversed the shock, but it didn't help him let go of how he felt at the time. And it's how you feel and what you think is the actual problem. So it then creates a perception in your mind, either about yourself or about the world or about the person involved, and that perception keeps running. And so once you change the perception, the pain will just disappear.
Well, it's a lot of it with beliefs, the widespread beliefs of people that, you know, doctors know best, that you're just going to have to deal with it because it's old age and old people get whatever, or it's an injury. That people, there is, you know, worldwide cultural and society beliefs that we are part of, even if we aren't consciously aware of that. We all have them, and it's just becoming aware that there is an alternative, because there are so many amazing people that have healed themselves of cancer, that have grown back body parts, that have, you know, have helped themselves and done so much. It just takes, obviously, finding those people and doing a little bit of research, which most people don't, because they're just completely unaware of that happening. And it's like yourself, Jonathan, with the work that you do, and I know how many people you have actually helped and got pain free. It's having that belief that I'm going to turn this around. So if you're watching this far and you're thinking, yeah, I don't believe any of that, then, you know, this is not going to help you. But if you're listening, you're thinking, this is interesting. I wonder what my healing moments are. I would like to see how this could work for me. This is really going to start changing people's lives, because once they know the Yudin moment and they say, I want to let it go, but the pain is still there, what can they do?
To find your own Yudin moment might be a bit tricky, because you don't know what you're looking for. You may have an idea, and the book will give you ideas, but it will be a very specific moment in time. I've had people, they say to me, well, I think I know what the moment is. And 90% of the time, they've got the theme, but they've got the wrong moment. And that happens a lot. So you do need someone to help you find the moment generally. Once you've found the moment, you need to use a trauma clearing technique. That doesn't mean you need to go and talk about it. You need an energy technique, something like EFT or advanced clearing energetics, or healing codes, whatever it may be, to help you release how you feel and what you think. I will say at this stage, what you said about beliefs is very true, but you don't need to believe this for it to work. All you need to be is open to try it. The guy who I gave an example of did not believe it at all, and yet within 3 hours his pain went. Most of the people I treat don't believe me. they just don't. It doesn't, because it's new information. It's completely brand new, and it's not what we get told. Another example is a friend of mine who I treated, and she just started running, and when she was running, she was getting pain in her right hip. So she naturally thought the running was causing her pain, as we all do. And she had a half marathon coming up. So she came to me, and it was getting really bad. And I looked at her, and basically the pelvis was actually inflamed. Now, there's nothing physically I can do for that in a week that would change the pain and allow her to run the marathon. So I knew that the only way to get her to run the marathon was to find the Yudin moment. She didn't believe me. She said there was no stress. Well, of course there was no stress. She was in repair. She wasn't stressed about anything. And when I sat her down, I said, are you sure it's the only time it hurts? And she said, well, no, actually, it's hurt for about 3 years, but only in bed when I roll over. So great. So now we've got 2 connections, when she rolls over in bed and when she's running. So I feed in the correct information, and all of a sudden the Yudin moment comes up, and it happened about 3.5 years ago. And it was a shock that happened in bed with her partner. And so every time she got into bed, that was triggering it.
What was it? Something that was said or something?
It was just I think they had an argument or something about their relationship. It just happened to be in bed at the time, and that shocked her. So every time she got into bed, that triggered her. Wow. And then, so I was like, well, okay, well, why is the running triggering? Because running has nothing to do with it. But what was happening when she was running, the person she was running with was a friend, and her friend was going through the same conflict that she'd had an argument with about her partner in bed. So every time her friend was telling her about it, it was resolving it more in her mind.
Right.
So while she was running, she was being triggered. So her body was trying to resolve it. Her emotions were going, yeah, I went through that. Mm. Yeah, that happened as well. Oh my God. Well, I'm okay. I'm better. And as she started to do that, then the pain kicked in. So I cleared that Yudin moment, and I cleared that shock. And I said to her the next day, and this is what I love about this, the next day I said, your pain will go up for a couple of hours. It will spike. It will be worse than it has before. But then it will disappear.
It's like the healing crisis, isn't it?
It's exactly the healing crisis. And she didn't believe me. And she woke up, and the pain did go up for a couple of hours, went quite bad, and it disappeared, and she was able to run the race the next week. Now, this friend of mine, though she was a very good friend of mine, she did not believe me for 1 second. But it solved the problem very quickly. And the pain never came back after that. We cleared the Uni moment. It was over. It was finished. It was complete. So it's more about being open to try it and to do it and to find the Uni moment. Because when you do, you will see great results. You don't have to necessarily believe it for it to work.
So we've spoken about the Udin moments and how we can have a shock that we don't know how to deal with that or cope with that at the moment. So that's just like an energy, isn't it, that we then have. And then with the body, with muscular and bones stuff, like it's to do with self-worth.
Self-worth, yeah.
And then when so we're in that state of stress, that's right, yeah. So then when we have something resolve it, a bit like with the guy who then got praised, our self-worth goes up about something, that's when we go in pain. But then we stay in that pain so we can take medication, we can go and see lots of different therapists and stuff like that, but ultimately it will not get resolved because it's a biological reaction of how our body's reacted to the shock that needs to be found and cleared, or firstly acknowledged and then cleared, and then that will start people on the road to the recovery. Sometimes the pain will go, and obviously other times. So it's when you work with people over a period of time, because I know that you can have instant results in a session, but quite often that you work with people over a longer period of time because they've had the pain for a long time. Does that mean that there's lots of different shocks there?
Yeah, there can be there can be a pattern of shocks. You can have one shock, and that can form a pattern of self-worth. Or you can have multiple shocks hit one particular area, and they can all be about something different.
Right.
One of my friends is going through that right now. He's had multiple shocks hit his shoulder and arm, and we're clearing all these different shock centers. And as we do that, the pain moves around the body.
It's like chasing the pain. It is a bit like with EFT. If you're familiar with EFT, it's great. It's a great technique to help control it. And if you're not, there's obviously loads of videos on YouTube about how to do that. And it's just tapping and tuning in, and it does help. But obviously, it's not solving it. And we want to get people out of pain and back on purpose.
No, EFT is great, and EFT is what I use to control my pain. But I didn't have the rope. I didn't know the specific shock. When I knew the specific shock, I then used EFT to clear the shock, and then the pain went.
Yeah.
So EFT will work. You just need to know what the actual specific moment is. That's the important bit. And then once you know that, anything that clears the trauma, as long as it's an energy technique, will clear that and resolve it, and the pain will disappear.
Awesome. So we spoke about the shocks and the Udin moments and how that we go into a state of stress, like people who are working out do, and then when we like resolve it or we relax, that's when we go into repair, and our cells are actually getting stronger.
Yeah, they're growing.
So that's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
And the way if we find that we are in chronic pain and we are suffering from an injury that it's just not healing, it means that there's a shock or several shocks that have led to that. So people reading this book, they're going to be able to find out, in a way, it's opening the awareness and perception of what pain is, how it's caused, the general beliefs about it, and what's happening for them personally.
The book is literally about opening your awareness to the root cause. If you've got pain and you've gone to the chiropractor, you've gone to the doctor, you've gone to the nutritionist, you've gone to sports masseur, you've done all that and it's not working, the reason is the Udin moment is still running. If you've gone to the doctor and the medication works, you don't need the book. If you've gone to the chiropractor and it works, the Udin moment's over. All that was required was just a realignment of the spine. Because there is a formula for healing pain. I have a 4-step formula for healing pain. And when someone comes to me, I need to know where they are in those 4 steps. But often, if it's become chronic, they haven't dealt with the first step, which is what the book is about, the root cause and how to solve it.
So with someone who's been in chronic pain for a long time, just solving the root cause will not then clear the whole pain. You've got to look at the different...
It can do. Sometimes just solving of the emotional response will either completely solve it, like in the case of that guy, and he had it for about 3 months, or it will really reduce it, and then you may need some work on the body to bring it back into balance. So a typical example of that would be, a lady I treated with CRPS, chronic regional pain syndrome. That was created out of an accident. She had a car accident. She injured her wrist. The doctors then operated twice on the wrist, and both times the pain got worse. Now, the reason is it's not actually what the doctors did. They just kept moving the trapped energy in the body. Because they don't understand that, they didn't know they were doing anything wrong. They didn't actually do any damage in there. The trapped energy kept moving. As the trauma kept building, it just moved up her arm and into her shoulder. And then it stopped just being the muscles. It went to the nerves. It went to the skin. It became a whole big problem for 19 years.
Oh my gosh.
And it was so bad. Her arm bent. It was locked in place like this. It wouldn't straighten. She couldn't hold her kids' hands both at the same time. She couldn't use a knife and fork.
So she basically, this arm was just out of action
Useless.
for 19 years.
Yeah, she couldn't use it. It was
Oh
so
my
sensitive.
gosh.
She couldn't hold hands with someone.
Yeah.
She couldn't hold a drink. It was so terrible. And it wasn't until she developed sciatic pain down her right leg that she came to me. And I looked and said, well, yes, I can treat the sciatic pain, but to actually solve that completely, I need to treat the arm, because basically the pain was just moving and going, you're not listening to me here, I'll go somewhere else.
Right. So
So-
it's a way of body's trying to get our attention to clear this trapped energy, because it is this trapped energy within our bodies.
Yeah, it was trapped in her body, and the body was moving it around, and she needed both. She needed the emotions to be released, the trauma, the eudaimonia, and she needed the body work to get her back aligned, to get her leg aligned, to release the nerve in her leg.
Because I suppose if this arm's been out of action for 19 years, the body is going to substitute that in some way. So it's going to need the alignment with the body.
The other muscles take over. So if you injure one arm, the other arm takes over. I mean, there was a particular lady that I treated who was my dentist, and still is my dentist, and she had chronic migraines and headaches, and shoulder pain on her right side. She went to the doctor. She was told it was her age. She was only in her early 40s. This is not an old lady. She believed it's because she was a dentist and she was like this in people's mouths. But when I looked at her, when she stood up straight, her posture was fine. So what I did was I took a case history and found out that 3 years earlier she broke the left arm. It had been pinned, and that was all fine. But during that period, she'd used her right side for everything, stopped using her left, and she was still doing that. 3 years later, she wasn't using her left still. She thought this was damaged, it was weak. So in this particular case, I didn't need to clear the eudaimonia, because this had just been a counter reaction to what she'd done here. And so all I did was give her confidence in this. So I did, make her feel good about this and tell her it was okay. Rebalance these muscles, and within 4 weeks, all of her pain and her migraines disappeared.
So she was getting her migraines from her arm?
Yeah, from the tension. She was using this side too much. The muscles had built up too much. So she used this side for everything and didn't use this side at all. So we just rebalanced it.
It's just fascinating. The more you sort of speak about it, the more that I learn from you about it. It's just how amazing how our body is and how it substitutes. And actually, it's always trying to help us. And it's just being willing to do a bit of detective work in a way, is it? Because you're a bit like a detective.
I'm a bit like that. That's the way I view myself. I'm a detective. When I look at the body, I just am detecting what's wrong.
And I know you're so thorough as well, and you're amazing for the work that you've done and helping people, and you have helped so many people, and it's just so brilliant that we've got this book now, and that can help us understand this. So, I mean, I highly recommend. I read this book, and then I found myself talking to people about it and saying, it's all right, if you're aching, it's because you've gone into repair, your body's actually getting stronger, and telling people stuff about this, because it expanded my awareness for others and also for myself. Being committed on my own growth and work first, so that I can help more. That is part and parcel of it, to understand these kind of things, and it's just an absolute gift to the world. And I know there's lots more books to come, because this is literally like the tip of the iceberg. But this book is really going to help you understand that if you're in pain, if you've had it for 20 odd years, or if it's just started, it can be cleared and shifted if you know the right formula, as you call it, the right process to what's actually happened and going on for you. So where can people get your book from?
The book is on Amazon. It's in Kindle version, and it's also in hard copy. So depending on what you prefer, some people like to hold an actual book. And it was a great moment when I actually received the actual hard copy from me out. So that's quite a big moment for me. So whatever you prefer. It's only on Amazon at the moment.
Okay.
But obviously people all over the world can get it that way, which is why I've done it like that.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
and yes, I'll just say what Sarah said. You do not have to suffer. You do not have to be suffering in pain. You didn't come into this world in pain. Do not believe what people tell you when they tell you nothing can be done. You have to live with it. It's nonsense. I've had so many people tell me that, and I've still helped them get out of pain.
Yeah, absolutely, and it is. I highly recommend it. And if you're in pain and you're suffering, if you read this book, and you may not even need to read this book, they might be reading that and going, yeah, I need to contact Jonathan. And obviously, you work with people all over the world, and can advise them for, if they need to have that body work, with the best people that would be able to help them as well. But I know how amazing you are in the work that you're doing, and this is really like a gift to the world. It's helped bring this awareness that you ain't got to suffer in pain. I don't want to be in pain, and if you have been, there is hope. Especially if you are an earth angel, you're needed. You don't need to be in this pain. There is so many amazing techniques out there now, and with Jonathan's information that he's sharing in this way for you to know that you can change this around. It does take a bit of work. We've got to do the inner work. We both know that from the work that we've done. It took you quite a long time to from the first time to clear your pain, but you went through that for a reason, so that you could learn this information and be able to bring it out into the world. Same with myself, what I've gone through and the work that I do in the world. It is all about knowing that you're worth it, and that you can change it, and that you've got people that believe in you and are really going to help you every step of the way. So Jonathan, thank you so much for sharing everything. This is available on Amazon. I highly recommend it. And thank you so much for watching.